what kind of events are significant events in your life? Your wedding day, birthday.
I mean, that's how all other events
Yeah.
that are significant to you.
Yeah. Well, or your friends. Your friend has a wedding. That's going to be significant for you. Because in a certain sense, your relationship with your friend is going to be different. I think they say that the things that cause the most stress is changing a job, moving, and the death of someone significant. I think in that order, but I mean, how do you figure that out? And there are people I know who lost a mother or father, and they were glad. Other people, that's like almost the end of the world for them. So it depends on the relationship you had with your parent or parent, your best friend. One of my colleagues, who's retired now, said just the other day on Facebook, what a way to find out that his wife had died that day. They'd been married 42 years, he said. What do you say on Facebook? Sad emoji. That's like. So philosophy class isn't that significant in all the things that we experience. That's what started my pontificating over the significance of playing Beethoven and thinking, that's just Beethoven and Hegel were approximate, contemporaries. I don't even know if Hegel had the chance to hear Beethoven's symphonies. He may have. It might be in the records, but I'm pretty sure he's heard Mozart symphonies and things like that. But Mozart died before 1800. I think 1798, something like that. Do you think music goes along with this feels like Sturm und Drang. Sturm, S-T-U-R-M, and Drang. So it's kind of funny because in Harry Potter, Rowling makes one of the schools in the competition, the 3-school competition, she makes it Durmstrang. So if you catch that, it's a pun on Sturm Drang. Sturm and Drang. It's in Drang. Durmstrang. So she's playing. So sorry for the interruption of Beethoven. Ought to be illegal, I guess. However, so today feels like a peak for my course, the way I think of it. Because Hegel was like the philosopher that kind of finally set my mind kind of at ease, because all the previous philosophers came up with a great idea and it seemed like, yes, that's it, finally, I now understand the way things are. And then the next philosopher came along and went smash, just beat the crap out of that, you know. And then, but I recovered because, yeah, their philosophy is so terrific. And then another one comes along and just points out all the holes in that one, and you're like, you know. Eventually, you start getting, you know, like you've been punched too many times. You know how, I don't know if you know how that feels, but you eventually get to the point where it's like, you know, useless to keep getting up, you know, because like it just keeps happening. And Hegel came along at that time, at least in my life, at about the same time I was in a sociology class and reading The Social Construction of Reality by Peter Berger and Thomas Luck. And it was like, wow, that's it. And it's not like Hegel gives you all the answers to all the questions, but what he does is he gives you the way that those answers will work out. So it's like a system. It's different than the previous ones because he's not saying, okay, here's the way things are. You know, Kant, for example, right? We can't know the thing in itself. It's outside of, you know, the ability of our, you know, perception, etc. And you can't really know your own self because, you know, the same thing. You're on the other side. The phenomena is what we can know. But we know that all this other stuff is out there that makes all that phenomena possible. And you're totally stuck. But at the same time, Kant, and by the way, I think this is why a lot of people go to Kant and feel like that's where the solution really was that's the way, you know, so we're immersed in phenomena, but there is stuff outside of the phenomena that we're clueless about, right? And in some ways, that's kind of cool to think, yeah, there's always stuff that we don't understand. That's pretty cool. But at the same time, he's structuring the answer. And of course, immediately, you know, as I suggested, lots of folks tried to figure out, okay, well, how does this structuring work? You know, where does the human mind, you know, apply all these categories? How does it? Is it biological? Is it you know, something to do with our childhood or whatever? Well, it gets more and more complex. And what Hegel and his contemporaries, so it's not really just Hegel, of course, that, you know, I'm describing here. This is really the whole movement, really. Hegel's just kind of like the flagship of this. But he comes along and points out that we do actually know ourselves, because that's the phenomena that Kant's talking about when he says, you know, there must be a self there, because how else can I be perceiving all of this stuff? Well, that's precisely how we know that we're there. So that's the phenomena in our mind that gives us that perception that there's a self. And then the same thing with God. You know, God, you know, is outside of our phenomena, and yet at the same time there must be a God, because how else would, you know, things happen? Where would everything have come from? So remember, this isn't suggesting that there's a old guy in an old bed sheet sitting on a throne somewhere in space with a, who knows, you know, beard usually. Where do they get that kind of impression that that's a God? Clearly from, you know, the people that would be the rulers in their contemporary society. You know, the guy that's the boss is the guy sitting in the castle on the throne, and he's probably old by now, you know. You know, when it's, you know, a teenage Caligula, you know, that's not good for anybody, right? But in any case, the phenomena that Kant's describing is literally our phenomena. Because everything that's happening in our brain is the phenomena, including my thinking that there's stuff outside of my phenomena that I can't understand. That's part of my phenomena. When I you know, I'm told, don't go in that closet. Well, the first thing I want to do is find out what's in the closet that I can't see. You know, Christmas presents, you know, what are they hiding from me? And so in a sense, all of that stuff is human phenomena too. But what kind of phenomena is it? In fact, what kind of phenomena is that? All phenomena. And that's why I really appreciated having the sociology course at the same time, because our contemporary sociological point of view, as far as I know, hasn't seriously changed since this. And it's the same thing with physics. We've been, stuck with physics, for at least 20, 30 years or more, 50 years. They keep coming up with new hypotheses, but none of it really solves these kinds of problems. But the same thing with sociology, that, things are real out there, but we're stuck in this social construction of reality, right? But how does it happen? Well, it's like concrete, and this is actually Hegel, Hegel says it's like concrete. The Romans invented this stuff, it's like fluid almost. You pour it into a mold and let it set, and when you take the mold away, it's a rock now, and that's kind of how we come up with ideas. Let's have a government. Okay, what kind of government should it be? Let's pour this into a mold. Okay, we have a constitution. But let's add some more. Let's add another rock over here, and stuff. And in a sense, that's how reality is constructed by us. And even when we discover something that's not something we were aware of before, like different kinds of light, they're invisible to us, but they're visible to other creatures or to machines that we create. Wow, now we know that there's lots of other kinds of light out there, ultraviolet, we don't even see it, but it's there and we can measure it. Wow, that's something that we've now got part of our world that socially we added. I mean, it's got to be actually there, the thing in itself, and yet at the same time, the reason we now know about it is because we created this mold with concrete that said light. Light goes this way. There's more light out there. And now, of course, that's kind of, everybody just accepts that. That's scientific. Nobody goes around saying, there's no such light. I don't see it. You're dumb. That's, of course, not something you could see because that's ultraviolet or, infrared. There's, and I love the comparison with the sound of the train as it goes by. We actually do have trains here, so you can actually hear them going by, and they do go by in the night, so you hear them going, how what's the name of that effect? The Doppler effect, thank you. So, we keep adding to this socially constructed reality through this interaction with stuff that we think of as solid, right? It's really there, and yet at the same time we weren't aware of it before, so it's like, through this kind of dialectical process that we interact with stuff, we learn about things that we didn't know about before, and once we learn about them, now they're part of our socially constructed reality. So it's not like everything in reality is just totally based on a whim of our own invention. No, we're constantly interacting with stuff that's really there. That's just that the way we come to know it is through our interaction with it and our discovery, and then that becomes added kind of and what the dialectical process is kind of an organic system. It's not like a mechanical system where the clock, you made the parts, you put them together and it works, you oil it every once in a while, or change the battery. I don't know about you, I just noticed the clock on my wall up in the office was like an hour ahead. And I'm not really late, it's the clock, because we just did this thing, with the clocks. So I took the clock off the wall, reset it, put it back up, and after about 10 minutes I noticed it hadn't changed. The second hand kept going. You know how it does. except that it wasn't moving. It just kept bouncing in that same spot. What the heck? Took it down. Once I laid it on the table, and it was fine. I started working again, and I realized the battery's just too weak. Push. So I changed the battery, and now it's fine. Was that an example of dialectical process, I suppose, right?
So like you have to have enough energy to get past that point of,
Yeah,
Like
in this
it's-
particular case, yeah, it needed to
because when
To
it was
be
flat,
able to
it didn't need as much
be
energy.
stronger in order to go up, as it's moving. But I suppose what I'm trying to suggest though is that the clocks we think of them as mechanical, but in a sense when we've switched to an organic model, we realize that even clocks, as mechanical as they are, interact with us. And we have to change them to suit. I mean, this weekend, changing all the clocks, and everybody just loves that ridiculous argument over